What's it like being a cop in South Africa? What it's like being a cop in South Africa. I think it has a lot to do with who you are as a person. I, that I feel is going to determine the direction in which you go in that career, in that field. So who you are inside, in here, will determine what type of cop you become. And being a police officer in South Africa is not easy. Let me talk about Cape Town only. I've only been a cop here. So being a police officer in Cape Town, I say it's both extremely difficult, but it's also very rewarding. And it's rewarding in the sense that you change a lot of people's lives along the way. A lot. And in my 23 years, I've come across people that I've helped in so many ways. Sometimes it was just a conversation, and they've remembered me, and they've for years, they've always thanked me when they saw me. And a lot of them would say like how much their lives changed because I spent time, talking to them or help them in a dangerous situation. Or so that's the reward I'm talking about. When you make this impact on someone's life, you at the moment, at that time, you don't even realize it as a police officer. The impact your presence is actually having on that person. And later on in life, when they grow up and they become parents or they study further, and sometimes it's got a lot to do with just that interaction they had with you. So having a strong heart and a strong mind can help you achieve those things. But being a cop is also extremely difficult because you work with so many different people. You work with different communities, different cultures. And even though the law applies to everybody, well, it should apply to everybody the same. The way you apply yourself as a police officer is not the same. It's different to communities, different communities. It's very different. How I police, how I behave, how I act in Guguletu, for example, it's different to Constantia, and that is the fact of the matter. It has nothing to do with race or color. It's got to do with culture. And you got to apply yourself based on the environment you find yourself in. And for police officers, if you want to keep your head above water, you've got to learn to apply yourself appropriately, and depending in which situation you find yourself. And that's just one part of it. That's just the community that we are serving that demands that from you. But apart from that.
So you're saying that even the culture between, like you used an example, between Constantia and Guguletu. What about cultures that between like people of the same race, like for example Mitchell's Plain and Anova Park?
Even though they're the same race predominantly, the culture is also different.
Yeah.
It is different. The culture is very different in Manenberg to Anova Park, to Mitchell's Plain. It's very different. The culture in Khayelitsha is very different to Guguletu and Brownsville. It's so hard to understand. It's just the way people live. It's the way people have grown up over generations that has created a certain type of culture in this community, in this area. And it has nothing to do with race, because you could take any race and put them there and let them grow up there. They grow up the same. And that's the culture of the area. And I was saying the other difficult part of being a cop, apart from servicing your community, is the management we have to deal with. And And over the years, over the past 20 years or so, the policing structures have changed a lot. And you will find a lot of your management positions are held by people that don't have the operational experience. They don't have it. Yet they are managing operational staff. So they do not understand what I'm saying about the culture of this area and how this works here, but it doesn't work there. You have these managers in these positions that want to build these castles for themselves, and they want to recruit everybody. They believe we work for them, yet we work for the people, and they don't care. Managers only care about themselves, and it's all about the hierarchy all the way up. Nobody wants to speak out. Nobody wants to stand up. Nobody has a voice because the person on top wants you to shut the fuck up.
And then the community blames the poor police officer on the ground.
Exactly. So the thing is, when a manager tasks you for today as a police officer, I want you to do A, B, C, D. Your whole day has been set out for you by the manager, by the people who sit in an office, who have air conditioning, who have coffee at their disposal. These are the people that plan out the day for police officers. Then they sit in these meetings and then they decide, this is what we want today. You and you and you, go do it. These officers have no other option but to do this, because if they don't, they get charged for insubordination. So what happens when these officers are doing the bidding of the managers? The citizens suffer. The community suffers. The very essence, the nature of policing has changed, because policing was solely at the discretion of the officer on the road. There was no interference back in the days. They conducted themselves as they were trained to do, and they went out there and they engaged with the communities. They did foot beats, they walked around, they drove around, they met with different people. The people got to know them, who they were, and the officers got to know the people. Now you don't have time to do that anymore. It's because managers want. It's all about give me, take. Managers do that to create their own portfolio, to build their own castle so they look good. They don't give a shit about the people on the road. They don't care about the officer.